Welcome to Triumph IAS. It's a daily mains practice question and answer series. This program is exclusively designed for UPSC CSE aspirants. In this video discussion, we will discuss UPSC CSE mains previous 25-year questions. Question number 1. Describe the characteristics and types of primary rocks. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. Any natural mass of mineral matter that makes up the Earth's crust is called a rock. When the molten magma cools, it becomes solid. Rocks thus formed are called igneous rocks. They are also called primary rocks. The main body of the answer should be. Its chief features are: A. These rocks are hard and resistant to erosion. B. These rocks are mostly not affected by chemical weathering. C. These rocks are usually fine-grained with smooth texture or may have large crystals with coarse texture. D. Since these rocks are formed due to the cooling and solidification of the magma, lava, fossils are not found in these rocks. Types of igneous rocks. Number 1. The molten lava comes out of volcanoes, reaches the Earth's surface and cools down rapidly to become a solid piece of rock. This is called extrusive rock. For example, basalt. Number 2. When the molten lava solidifies deep inside the Earth's crust, the rocks so formed are called intrusive rocks. For example, granite. Question number 2. If the last few decades were of Asia's growth story, the next few are expected to be of Africa's. In the light of this statement, examine India's influence in Africa in recent years. Let's start with the introduction of the answer. In the late 20th century and early 21st century, especially in the aftermath of the Cold War, India has utilized these long-term relations to take advantage of Africa's economic and geopolitical situation. The main body of the answer should be: India now has embassies, high commissions, and consulates across the African continent's 54 countries. The current Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, champions the Indian government's foreign policy toward Africa called multi-alignment foreign policy. It emphasizes the Indian government's role to engage with regional multilateral institutions and the use of strategic partnerships. This has been essential for the infrastructural and economic development of most African countries through both Indian government loans and grants given out through the Special Commonwealth Africa Assistance Programme, SCAP. Current statistics indicate that India is now Africa's third-largest trading partner, accounting for over 7% of Africa's trade output, calculated at over $70 billion. Africa has been the source of India's demands for oil, gold, ores, and gas, among other items. Conclusion of the answer is: various multinational companies of Indian or African origin operate in Africa and India. As technological changes have ensued, many of these now operate in areas of IT, farm machinery, and transportation. Question number 3. Describe the major outcomes of the 26th session of the Conference of the Parties, COP, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. What are the commitments made by India in this conference? Let's start with the introduction of the answer. The 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, COP26, was held in Glasgow, UK. COP26 resulted in the completion of the Paris Agreement rulebook and kept the Paris targets alive, giving us a chance of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The main body of the answer should be: outcomes of COP26. Number 1. For the first time, COP agreed a position on phasing down unabated coal power. Number 2. There was also a methane pledge, by which more than 100 countries agreed to cut emissions of this greenhouse gas by 2030. Number 3. A group of 11 countries led by Ireland, France, Denmark, and Costa Rica among others created the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance, BOGA, to set an end date for national oil and gas exploration and extraction. Number 4. At least 13 nations also committed to end the sale of fossil fuel-powered heavy-duty vehicles by 2040. Number 5. More than 100 national governments, cities, states and major car companies signed the Glasgow Declaration on Zero-Emission Cars and wants to end the sale of internal combustion engines by 2035 in leading markets and by 2040 worldwide. India's initiatives as part of COP26. Number 1. India announced that its net zero target is to be achieved by 2070. Number 2. India has signed the Glasgow Breakthrough Agenda to promote clean energy. Number 3. India has launched eAmrit, a web portal on electric vehicles, EVs, at the ongoing COP26 summit. Conclusion of the answer is, India's updated NDC announced at COP26, 500 gigawatts non-fossil energy by 2030. 50% of the energy requirement from renewable energy by 2030. Reduction of 1 billion tons of the total projected carbon emissions by 2030. Reducing the carbon intensity of its economy by less than 45%. Net zero by 2070.